everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Teal Voice. I want to introduce you to our first guest, Kristina Hall. Kristina is originally from Sweden, but she spent much of her life in the US. She's a writer, a trained behaviorist, and someone who lived a life full of interesting experiences, from co-founding a business that brought Swedish fashion and artisan goods to the US to working as a language analyst. Christina is someone who deeply loves her family, literature, nature, sports, and of course, her three little dogs. A couple of years ago, Christina's life changed in a way no one can ever seen or hope for to experience. She was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer and went through major surgery and chemotherapy. After reaching remission, she faced a recurrence earlier this year, completed treatment once again, and is now back in remission while beginning maintenance therapy. What strikes me most about Christina isn't just her resilience, it's her honesty, grace, and perspective she's found through the incredible path she has experienced through this difficult journey. Today, we're going to talk about what is it like really to navigate cancer, how she's held on to hope through uncertainty, and the lessons she's learned about life, family, and finding joy even in the hardest seasons. Christina, I'm so grateful you're here with us today. Everyone, welcome to your story and sharing this with our viewers and to the community at large experiencing ovarian cancer or other types of gynecological cancers or other difficult times in their life. I will proceed with the first question. Um, Tell me a little bit more about Christina. Who is Christina to the world and to her family and her loved ones?
Who am I? I think that has changed over the years. I don't want to say old, but an older person. So of course it's like what identity, what role? Yes, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm also a mother to two adult sons, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. And I've had work experience, I have had life experience in many forms, like anyone going through life. There's been other hardships before cancer, but we won't dwell on them today. But I think if I should describe myself and who I was, I've always been a creative. That's where, if it's painting or writing or thinking up imaginary things, uh, living in my own little world sometimes, but also quite intuitive and sensitive. So yeah, I feel like I have been different people, but still the core of me is just a free spirit who has moved through the decades and hopefully is a good friend also. I don't know if I mentioned that I'm a friend with the sister and daughter and all that. So yeah.
I can certainly, having known you for such a short period of time, I can certainly appreciate all those qualities about you, Christina. And thank you for truly being candid about your experience and for agreeing to do this, for sharing the good parts, but also the difficult parts that you have lived so far. Take me a little bit back to your diagnosis. Tell me a little bit more about that experience.
The diagnosis, like for most people that are faced with ovarian cancer or for many other forms of cancer, I was not taken seriously by the doctors. I started having severe symptoms 2.5 years ago, and I myself thought first it was food poisoning, but it didn't go away. So of course it wasn't food poisoning. But I went to my then primary physician, and I had to go back, and I went back so many times, and he just dismissed me. He did one thing though. He sent me for a CAT scan, which came back clear. But I will circle back to that clear scan later because it wasn't clear, so the radiologist made a mistake. But what happened was I was basically bedridden. It was about 4 months of just getting sicker and sicker, and my I was starting to just feel desperate, and my I knew something was wrong, seriously wrong, but I didn't know what because all of my symptoms were upper GI, and for those who don't know what GI is, that's stomach related. So I was feeling bloated. I had a lot of pain, upper abdominal pain, and getting full quickly, and bowel movements changed. But anyway, and I didn't function. And when I sought help at my GP's office, he eventually, after all these months, said it's psychological. And I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast, but I was swearing and like, no, this is not psychological. I just knew that. So I started a search for a new doctor, and I found the answer in the gynecologist office because I decided I need to do every checkup that we normally should be doing. And I was behind on my annual checkup, so it was time. And then, so it was in the gynecologist office 4 months from the onset of the symptoms. He decided, I mentioned basically in passing, oh, and I have a lot of discomfort, but I don't think it has anything to do with, anything that has to do with it, gynecology. And he's like, let's do a vaginal ultrasound. And then, like, it didn't happen like in the movies. It wasn't a pretty office in any way. I was still laying there with the stirrups, legs up, and he just goes quiet. And I asked, what's wrong? And he said, you have a large tumor on one of your ovaries. Do you have someone with you today? So I got dressed and texted my husband, who was sitting in the car in the parking lot, working from the car. And I said, yeah, you better come up. So that's how it started. But then I was referred to you can pronounce this much better than I can, gyno-oncologist, uh, and who then treated me. And yeah, we got scheduled for surgery, and it was extensive. So, and then chemo and everything. So that's how it started.
Did you, looking back, could you have recognized those symptoms earlier? Like, do you think there was a period of time that you minimalized some of them or
Yeah,
overlooked?
yeah, I do. That was a good question. Um, I mean, I became violently. That's why I thought it was a food poisoning from the beginning. I couldn't keep food down and pain, and I had a fever. But 1.5 year earlier, I started once in a while, not every day, having vague, dull, almost pinching pain in my lower right abdomen, exactly where the ovaries are. But it just came and went, and it went away so quickly. But I've had hernias before in my life due to, yeah, whatever. But so I almost thought it was a hernia that eventually I would need surgery for, but I wasn't quite there yet. And I actually did ask for a CT scan back then. This was the 1.5 year prior to me being violently ill. And I should have followed up on that in retrospect, but it wasn't severe enough. So I kind of brushed it off. But I really think that was the beginning of it. And then what happens, that my general physician that I later fired because he said it was psychological, um, the one test he did order was the CAT scan, and it came, or CT scan, and it came back clear. And when I did find a new doctor, I had tumors on both ovaries, and it had spread to my whole abdomen. So the intestines were affected, and momentum, and yeah, a lot of, yeah, my abdomen. But I actually asked, because it was just 4 months from when I was that violently ill and they did the CAT scan to they saw that it had spread throughout my whole abdomen. And I was like, can someone go back and look at that CT scan? And then they did, together with that radiologist that had said it was clear. And there it was. It showed a tumor on my right ovary. Then the spread had not happened yet. And actually, the spread still before surgery, the imaging they did, the MRI and the CT scan they did at the new hospital only showed uh, large tumors, like, oh, not the size of a melon, but a papaya or mango on both ovaries. That's all it showed. And I had a full abdomen imaging done, MRI and CT scan. And it wasn't until surgery and he went in that he saw it had spread to my both large and small intestines and the omentum and my appendix. And yes, we all know appendix, we don't need it, but it has spread. So,
Yeah, in this context, it's important for staging of the disease. Um,
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that you experienced all that.
I just wish they had seen that. I mean, I did in the very beginning of my severe symptoms. I had a CT scan, and the radiologist missed it and said it was clear when it wasn't. So,
so draws back the importance of timing of imaging and obviously having qualified staff to review the imaging and provide an early diagnosis. The earlier diagnosis, it's important for your outcome. So
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear you experience that.
yeah,
Um,
I would have had a better staging if I had been diagnosed right away.
it's really truly unfortunate.
Yeah, which is too common. It happens to
Yes,
many women.
absolutely, I agree with that. Looking back at the journey, is there a moment when you realized something, like when it comes to the treatment that you received and the type of care you finally surrounded yourself with? What is the most memorable moment of throughout your cancer experience?
I'm sorry, the most memorable moment of the cancer experience?
Yes.
It's a good question, but it's a hard one because there are many. Um, but I believe I'm going to start with actually after the surgery, it was complications, and I was hospitalized for 16 days. But what stands out, yes, I did receive excellent medical care, but it was the love in my hospital room. My husband, my two adult sons, and their wives were all there. So we had a pretty full hospital room, and it was always someone staying with me during the night also. So I was never alone. And what stands out is in one of the hardest moments in my life. It's also one of the most beautiful because it was just love in that room. I felt immense love for them, for giving up work, for being just present. And then I felt so loved. I don't think I've ever felt so loved in my life. And I was fighting for my life. So it was just really a beautiful moment and just realized, oh, I always knew my family was beautiful, but um, and also my daughter-in-laws, they took time off from their work, and my youngest son and daughter-in-law, they live in London, and they came here and took, a couple of months off to just be supportive. I mean, that meant a lot that you don't know how your family or close friends are going to react until something bad happens, and if they're even going to be there, and in what way. And that's what stands out, all the love, which carried me through because it was a very defining moment. And this might sound too woo-woo for some, but it was, I had several complications, but this was day 2 after the surgery, and my intestines they were not waking up. So they needed to insert a tube to help my intestines and give them the rest because it didn't work. I couldn't eat or drink. Um, but I was doing so poorly, and they weren't sure if I was going to make it. But I was, this is just what I've been told, because I was not that, I was conscious but not aware. I was aware of that it was critical. And they had trouble inserting this tube that could save me, but they had really trouble. And then I saw my husband crying, and I've known him for more than 30 years, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen him cry. So when I saw my husband's tears, I'm like, oh, this is serious. And then my 2 sons were in the room also while they were working on me and trying to insert the tube. And I felt very, very vividly that if I close my eyes now, I will go, I will slip away. I need to focus on my husband and my 2 boys. I need to have my eyes open. I need to see them. I need to hang on to life. I still feel, which can sound strange, at that very moment, I choose life. It might sound very strange, but if I had closed my eyes, I felt like I would go.
It's not strange at all. It's very profound. It's a
Yeah.
profound experience.
So
And it's
that was,
beautiful, and it's beautiful, but I'm sure it was difficult in its own way.
yeah, at the time, but also, again, it was thanks to their love that I stayed. It's how it felt. So,
It's a beautiful morning, Christina. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
I'm beyond grateful for my family. I'm looking
Tell me a
forward
little
to
bit
your story.
more about the importance of family and support and community. How have you connected with the community with ovarian cancer or other survivors, people that are fighting the same path as you?
Um, yeah, in regards to families that I'm sorry, I have notes. I don't need to have notes for my family. I do know them. But I wouldn't be here without my family. I really truly believe that because, of course, they have been months and now years when they have to be present. And I don't want to say step up because they never act like I'm a burden to them. But so family has been crucial. I'm never really alone. My husband uh, is around, and my 2 adult children they come as often as they can and visit, and with their wives or alone. But and I will get to the community part, but I think everyone who has faced anything difficult will experience this. This is not unique to cancer or ovarian cancer, but there were friends that I thought, we were very close. I thought we were very close, but it showed very quickly that some of them, they were only there for the good and easy times. And I've actually now, I don't feel better. I don't hold anything against them. That's just, they were not capable of more. And for me, it's those friendships have evaporated. Um, but it's not a loss because so many other beautiful, surprising friends and even strangers that became friends have entered my life. You're one of them. So it's also been a gift. And then also some friends that I felt like were more like on the margin of my friendships. We saw each other sometimes. they have stepped up and they are so present in my life. And it's just the most beautiful gift. And they still now, 2.5 years in, they just show up without asking anything of me, basically, other than that I mean, they don't ask anything of me, but it could be, I get a text like, you have a book or magazine sitting at your doorstep, or I bought some strawberries, I dropped them off in front of your door. It could be those things. And sometimes it's not the things, it's the thought that, because it's very isolating. Everyone knows this. This is an isolating journey. I'm home by myself a lot because there is not the bandwidth of being out in the world and socializing. And then, but in regards to the ovarian cancer community, I found many great resources, and I joined online support groups for ovarian cancer pretty early on. And some of those women, we become very good friends, but I can ask anything because you come up with questions. I've never done this before. So there are many moments where I'm like, is this normal? Or what can I do to relieve some of the, side effects? Or is this something someone else has experienced? And I found comfort in that. And we're a pretty large group that would try to be there for each other, which is kind of essential. But then I also have a local support group where I live that you have to be physically present. So then it's all kinds of cancers, but that's also very valuable, uh, to just meet other people affected by cancer in general. But then there's some organizations that I personally like. I am in the US, so I don't know if I pronounce this right, but OCRA, it stands for Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance, have wonderful programs. And among one type of program, it's a mentor program where um, they match you with someone with the similar stage, because even if we all have ovarian cancer, but we have different subtypes of ovarian cancer. So it's and someone similar to your age, not exactly, but so you can be on the same wavelength in regards to where in your life you are. So I have a beautiful mentor, and she has the same stage as me, but she's 15-year cancer free, and she gives me hope and advice, and she's just this lovely, wonderful giving woman. But Okra also has, like, if you need psychologist, if you need a social worker, if you need help, they have a lot of resources available for free, and a lot of webinars that are educational, and Zoom meetings, and even an arts and crafts group. And so I would recommend to anyone who's listening to look that up. And the same goes for NOC, which is National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. And then we have Overcome, which is another support more globally group. And then for the US, it's something called Hearts with just an A instead of EH, Hearts of Teal. It's also a wonderful support group for us that are affected, but they're more like national or globally.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you for sharing.
yeah,
I'm sure some of our viewers will be interested to hear
yeah.
more about
And
this.
I'm
We'll
happy
share them
to,
in the
yeah,
description. Yeah,
I can
of
provide
course.
them to you, and they've been very helpful for me. And then one last thing is, if someone goes through chemo and, feel a little lonely, because even if, I mean, yes, I have my family, but there are many hours in the day when it's just me, and it becomes lonely. There's something, and you might know this. Have you heard about chemo angels?
No.
So there's an organization that all they do is they match you up with two other people, in my case, two other women. They don't need to have had cancer. But every week, what happens with these chemo angels, they send you in the real mail, in the old-fashioned way, snail mail, uplifting quotes, uplifting cards, little letters, just to let you know that there are people thinking of you and giving you hope of life and just encouragement to keep on going. And during my first chemotherapy treatment, I signed up for Chemo Angels, and through that I had two new friends. They were lovely, and every week they sent. I mean, these people, that's it, they volunteer. It's amazing, and I think that just also gives me personally hope in humanity that there are many, many beautiful people out there.
It's lovely to hear we're supported and surrounded by people that actually, make a difference in our day-to-day life. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing all those resources. It would be very helpful to someone who's newly diagnosed, who lives in the
Mhm.
US, who could benefit from those services.
So we'll talk a
Tell me
little
a
bit
little bit.
about you walking through the storm. How was your experience with the cancer treatment? We know that treatment asks so much of a person. What was the hardest part of your journey? And you can speak to the physical, emotional, psychological, mental health part of it.
Yeah, I think it's very important to just acknowledge that it's all tied together. It's so much more than just the physical part. It's brutal physically because it destroys our body, especially the chemotherapy. The surgery saves us, and then the chemotherapy is supposed to save us, but it really breaks the body down on a cellular level. And but mentally and emotionally, and for me personally, everyone is different. First time around, I went into, it was also no time to think. It was just boom. Once I was diagnosed, it was like, okay, you're having surgery, you're having chemo. I just went into full survival mode, and I felt like I was white knuckling it a lot. But the second time around, I've had time to think. We were waiting, we were holding off treatments. And that's when the mental and emotionally impact happened for me more than anything. And I felt it's equally a mental challenge as it is physically. And then it becomes emotionally. I don't know what comes first. Sometimes the physical comes first, and then you have feelings about it or emotions, and then you have thoughts about it, or vice versa. But for me, it has been really important. I work with a psychiatrist actually who does more mental training and hypnosis, and I do self hypnosis. And also as being a trained behaviorist, it's like I can't analyze myself. That will be very strange, but I have some tools, and especially the self hypnosis, which is just a valuable tool that I didn't use the first time around in chemotherapy. I've used it this time. Daily, I will listen to myself, not saying what I wish the outcome would be, but that it's already happening. So I have a recording of my voice with background calming, meditative music, and I'm telling myself, I wrote and I'm reading it, but I'm hearing myself every day. My all my cells are healthy. I'm strong. I'm living life fully alive, and things like that. And it has really been helpful. It sounds a little out there, but it's really helpful. And for me, meeting with my psychiatrist every other week, it just keeps me in the lane of, perspective and what's in my control and what is not, because there's so much mentally I worry about. Personally, I have a lot of anxiety, uh, and I resist a lot of things, but just to surrender to the journey is, I think, very important. And um, so the hardest part is like all three. Like it is, I know some other people spiritually is the hardest. It's for me, has not been the hardest part personally, but the physical, emotional, and mental all tied together has been the hardest part. And I don't think it's talked enough about. The doctors really, at least for myself, my oncology covers excellent care for the physical part. But then I have to seek other help, other support elsewhere.
I'm
And
glad to know that you found some resources that worked.
yeah, they're excellent. And then the emotional part, I mean, it is close. I mean, it's my family and close friends that I feel like they are the anchor to my heart, but they are also the anchor to my life. Because if I didn't have them, I don't know. I'm not sure I would be alive.
They certainly make the experience and the journey a little bit more comfortable, if you
Yeah,
can think of it like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a roller coaster going through the physical, emotional, psychological sides of cancer for sure. Was
Yeah.
there anything in particular um, when things felt impossible? Kind of what helped take the next step?
They were, I mean, the main thing is, again, I come back to this over and over again, the love from my family to just reach out. If my husband wasn't at home, I would put a call into one of my sons, and not to burden them, but then we could talk about something else. It wasn't just cancer. It was about how things were going for them. I needed to have something else than cancer, but life. So I wanted them to tell me about their camping trip or whatever they had been doing lately, or something that happened at their work or with their partners or something. But yeah, the love for my family, but also the next step for me, if I'm in a mental, emotionally struggle, that I have had those moments where I feel I can't do this anymore. I've been there. But those are just moments. And then I basically have a list because I get blank in my head and like I'm stuck. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do another treatment. I don't, or I'm very afraid. I'm very scared. So I'm paralyzed. And what gets me out of that funk, because that's just a moment, is music. I'm not a musician, but I'm a music lover. So I have so many playlists that I've named, like, my fighting songs, my hope songs, yeah, workout songs, even if I wouldn't call what I'm doing workout, and just hearing music just shifts the energy inside. And then I might start journaling, I might start painting. So it just makes me continuing, that has not to do with cancer, but helping me not get stuck in the
The
hopelessness
rut.
of
Yes.
what? Well, I'm sorry,
In
what
the
is
rut.
yes.
Being stuck in the rut.
Yeah. And then I've so far, I mean, maybe my husband would say differently or my children would say differently. I have not had a pity party yet because I don't feel sorry for myself. This can happen to anyone. It does not, I mean, I'm so not unique. So I haven't, it's more sometimes fear, because it is a lot of fear going through this and the unknown and facing that, but not like, I have never thought, why me? So, but it also helps. So family and the love, and sometimes it's friends, just, reaching out to a friend, or a friend reach out to me out of the blue. That just also helps.
Mhm.
Um, to receive a voice message from one of my closest friends can just like, oh, that's like, you know, really healing for the soul. And then, or if I can just step outside on the porch or breathing fresh air or writing my gratitude list. I only need 3 things in a day. And it could be as simple as the cup of tea. it's not the grand things, it's the small things. Or I snuggled with all my 3 dogs, or I could still do that. And that's a lot of gratitude in that. So I do write a gratitude list every day, and that helps when I feel like I can't go on
I
too.
love
Yeah, because then you realize there's still so much life, even if my life isn't big or grand, or I'm productive, but I feel like my job is right now to just become
be
cancer. Yeah,
to be
to
to
be
be
alive.
to be in the moment, to live in the moment.
Oh, yes, it
Uh,
has become moment to moment. That's how I live.
and talking about moments and
Mhm.
looking your whole journey, oftentimes it seems to be an invisible journey.
Mhm.
How do you find that the relationships have, I mentioned a little bit earlier that some of those relationships with friends changed.
Yeah.
Um, was it there a moment when you realized you're becoming something different?
I mean, again, the hospital stay, I don't think in retrospect, I became different from that day. Because with all that love, I feel like I have, but I can't see like if it was one particular moment, it's gradually. But with, 5 people in the hospital room and also at home, they continued coming to, they were here, the kids and their wives and my husband. I was surrounded by love. I softened from the person I was before. My my temper disappeared, in a sense of it's not important to get. It's a cliche, but don't sweat the small
Oh,
stuff. And that's so true. It's another perspective, but I think I softened. I let the people who do care about me show me the loving kindness, but I think I have shown, I hope at least, I have shown them that I love them deeply. And that goes with friends too, and not just my family, but so it's just a softness and a gratitude and a mindfulness. I'm more aware of all I found life is more beautiful right now, which is very strange. But because of what
through
we've,
different glasses.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then again, like you said, yes, some friendship they changed, and that's okay. But then also some other surprising people have stepped into my life, and I have stepped into theirs, and that's the beauty of it. And I treasure those new people because that enrich life too. Connections. I think connections are key.
It's part of the experience is being forced to look at life differently, but also the opportunities that come with it. And I know that it's also cliche to think that, we should all embrace cancer as a gratifying experience, but besides the negatives that come with the cancer experience, there are also a lot of positive things.
Yeah. I mean, I don't wish it on anyone. It's the most brutal thing I've gone through, with my own body. I have gone through hardship in other ways that like most people have, but for myself, but it's not only hardship. A lot of beauty has come with it too. And I think before cancer, I wouldn't have recognized it as a gift or a beautiful treasure. So yeah.
Beautifully said, Christina. Talking about beautiful things, how has your definition of health, happiness, or normal changed?
For me, there is no normal anymore. I don't even know what normal is. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay to not. Uh, I mean, I think I used to define normal a lot, like if what with my activities or my work or yeah, family and friends, what was normal or expected. But I know the reality. I'm not naive. I know the reality of this illness, and it can come back and it can come back, and who knows? But no, it's for me, there is no normal. I know I will never go back to what used to be normal for me. I used to be an athlete. I'm not, yeah, I might be to a degree, but I don't strive to go back to that person. It's not, there's no normal anymore, and that's okay. A good day for me now, the definition can be I took a shower today. That's amazing. I got out of bed. That's
Achievement.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, the bar is lower, but it's okay because we've gone through. It is a war, but I don't want to necessarily use the word war, but with our own bodies. And then there are the small things that are the big things. So the definition of health is completely different because I don't believe in normal anymore. And healthy for me can be, like I said, taking a shower. That was a healthy day for me. I was able to make my own lunch. That was a healthy day. I didn't ask my husband to make my lunch, which I actually always, not always, I often do, or he just does it because yeah, I have all kinds of side effects from chemotherapy, so it's hard to stand up sometimes. But healthy is as long as I'm breathing and apparently also talking, then that's health for me.
Well said, Christina. Well
Yeah.
said. Well done. We'll go on to my next question is around if you could keep only one lesson from this experience, what would it be?
Love is everything. Very cliche, but love is everything.
But very healthy.
Yeah, but again, if I couldn't feel love for other people or other people couldn't find in their hearts to love me in this moment, then nothing else really matters. No
Beautiful.
money, no status, no anything. If love, so love is everything. That's the one lesson.
Beautiful. Lovely said.
Yeah, cliche but true.
So it's very, very true. If every woman could hear one message about ovarian or gynecological cancer, what would you want to tell her?
Uh, it's a hard one because again, it's a lot I wanted to say to that woman, but I wanted to say trust in your own body and what your own body is telling you. Trust that with all that you have and seek medical care ASAP. I mean, immediately. Trust your own body, what it's telling you. Listen to your body because it's telling the truth.
Yes, I can stress exactly the same message. And it goes without saying that obviously for all our viewers, please follow up with your medical practitioners. Discuss all your concerns with them, but definitely follow your heart, follow your body's voice in the process.
Yeah.
Nicely said. We'll
Thank
play
you.
a little cute game now. We'll call it a lightning round. When I
No,
say courage is, what do you think?
facing something horrific or very difficult and still go through it. You don't go through the easy stuff. I mean, courage is going through the hard stuff, being afraid, being scared, and still do it. Yeah,
Healing is
not linear.
nice. Well said. Hope is
Essential. That's what I always go.
today I celebrate.
I'm here.
Very nicely said.
Mhm.
Next, cancer could never take away my.
Love for my family.
Oh,
Mm.
always eternal love.
Yeah, that's my theme here.
Right now, I'm looking forward to.
continue living.
I wish you a long, happy life, and hopefully you come back on for the 100 Teal Voice episode where we discuss your 10-year remission.
Yes, we both will be there. Yeah.
Oh, we pray. The word that best describes my life today is,
Can I choose two words?
of course,
The first word is actually tired. I'm exhausted, but hopeful.
piggy
Hope.
bands.
Yep,
Hope
I'm
carries a lot of that
yeah,
exhaustion.
very tired, but hopeful. And so I can't pick. Sorry.
No, you don't have to pick. I think that's a great choice. Hopeful and exhausted can coexist
Yep.
and codepend.
Yep.
Um, as we come to the end of our conversation, what is on your heart that you haven't talked about yet?
Oh, we could have a 10-hour episode, and there are so many things. I mean, as you know, it's a complex journey. And for me now being on it for 2.5 years, one thing, and I don't know if might not be important. This can just be me being frustrated in this very moment, because we know that what we show, right now I got some hair back, so I don't look as sick. But I was completely bald at one point. I looked more sick, and then people would respond to that. But right now, it doesn't necessarily show what I'm feeling inside. And I think I'm personally, again, everyone's journey is different. I wish I had like a something I would say. I don't know how many messages I receive, because now I just finished my chemotherapy for the second time, but I'm not done with treatment. I'm going to go in on maintenance treatment, so which is another scary phase. But they're like, "Do you feel better now?" Is a question, and I just wish that chemotherapy and there are different chemotherapy drugs. There are over 100 chemotherapy drugs, and they will affect you different. Everyone is different, and you often get a cocktail of two or three chemotherapy drugs, and it's not over. Your body doesn't bounce back just when you've had your last infusion, and that's what I feel like so many people, and I'm not sure I would have known this before I was hit, or when I got my cancer diagnosis and went through this journey. But the question of, do you feel better now? I'm like, no, I don't. The chemo broke my body down. My bone marrow is affected. My cells are affected. I don't feel well. And this can take the rest of my life, whatever that is, to feel better. I might feel better gradually. Some side effects might get better. I might get stronger. I might have more energy. I might be in less pain. But right now, there's a lot. And it could be taking a year, it can take several years, or the rest of my life, whatever that is. And that's something I like, even if you grow your hair back and you start tiptoeing into re-entering life.
The
Uh,
normal.
yeah, that doesn't mean, and I think also an important lesson is for myself is I used to wait for like, oh, when I feel better, I will do X, Y, and Z. And at least I have learned that, and I'm switching the subject a little bit, but I really feel like I wish there was a good explanation or understanding among the general public that just because chemo ended, that doesn't mean you feel good, because it really, really destroyed a lot of the good, healthy cells in your body. And that's what's taking a toll on you. And, but what I've learned is, so that's one part, is I don't need to wait to feel like without any side effects or be completely, free from side effects, I should say, to experience joy. I can still have, again, moments of joy and hope while still not feeling that great. but I feel like people around me don't understand that.
I think you nailed it right on the head with that one. Definitely, there is a lot of expectation that once the treatment stops, that you should return to your normal, whatever that means for
Yeah.
any of us. It's
And
it's
it's
important
hard.
message. It's impossible sometimes, right? Your normal may or may not be there to return to, but then the people around you don't fully appreciate your experience or the ongoing, we talked about it, the physical, emotional, psychological aspects of it as well.
It's still there. And then, once people learn that chemotherapy is over, then it gets more quiet. People don't check in. And I'm like, I'm still sitting in my pain. Nothing has changed since 2 weeks ago. So it's just something that is hard, but it's also, yeah, it's, I will still keep on trying to shed light on the good, the good parts of it too, that we can embrace this very moment.
Kristina is also a poet, so she's going to share with us a poem specially presented for Teal Voice today on the first episode. Kristina, thank you for sharing your poem with us today.
Thank you. It's called My Fight, and I have to read from a paper. So words are spoken in an unheard tone. I stumble in the murky waters of the truth. My reality of the unreal, my unreal reality. A thief running through my bloodstream, stealing my life without permission. My battle scar is a half-won war. Tears flowing from the shadows of fear. My heart is grasping for courage. The rebel of my soul is shouting war. I soldier on in love. Love, give me a fighting chance.
It's always about love, Kristina. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
A poem, especially sharing your experience with us and enlightening on the complexities of this topic. And truly, that's why it's going to take a whole podcast. There's not going to be only one episode to address all the nuances of living with, through, past cancer. And we're looking forward to hear from more people like us that have the diagnosis, that are in survivorship, from family members, healthcare professionals, those touched by gynecological cancers, but other forms of cancers as well, that want to come on and share their experience. Thank you for joining us, Kristina. It was lovely having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I am very grateful to have been here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for everything.